Good morning and welcome back. Today in the Sandwich Generation, the rising cost of competitive sports putting financial future at risk. This morning, our expert helps you find a balance between kids' athletic teams and your retirement dreams. Mike Koinanen is the owner of Principal Preservation Services. Welcome back, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
The cost of sports, that continues to rise.
It is, and I think parents are paying way too much. I think it's crazy. The average parents are spending $100 to $500 a month per child. And 1 in 5 families, 20% of them are spending over $1,000 a month for their children to be in sports. And that's fine if you can afford it, but most parents cannot afford that kind of cost per month. And they're sidestepping, they're postponing their retirement. They're worried about today and not consider about their future. A third of those parents aren't putting anything aside for retirement. And so, just like we get old, just like that, we just think back, well, we were just in high school. Well, retirement's going to be the same way. So if you don't start planning today and good habits, you're going to be in trouble.
And I'm sure they could probably just ask their parents, the grandparents in this situation, about that. I can even think back to my childhood, and I remember starting to play hockey, and then when club hockey became more of a money draw than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's the next step, is being realistic with it. 2/3 of parents believe their children are going to get some sort of athletic scholarship. So they're spending all these extra funds in summer camps and programs and traveling teams and hotel costs. Right. They believe they're going to get a scholarship, but less than a quarter of them actually get a scholarship. So be realistic. You're not going to be the next, Brett Favre or Joe Montana, most likely, right? Or Joe Mauer. So you need to be realistic. Our daughter's in dance, but we opted to put her in just artistic dance, not competitive dance. It's about a quarter of the cost, so you can just cut back on those expenses.
Just picking and choosing the correct fit for you. I know my dad always says money has ruined sports, and I guess we could even relate this to the peewee level, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, the time involved is so much, and that's when you look at your calendar here.
Exactly.
And
how many days?
10, 12, 15 hours a week you're sitting on the sidelines at just practices, not including games. Well, use that time wisely, because you're hardly putting any time involved into your finances. So use that time on the sidelines at bleachers to balance your checkbook, create a budget, or look at your 401k and maybe change your allocations. Use your time wisely. And I have a lot of good tips on my website at preserveyourdollars.com that pertains to retirement planning.
Those are really good tips. You brought up something that I want to ask you about, and that is there a good resource for parents to go and look for those alternatives to those club sports that could be cheaper? Do you know if there's a resource out there? Or
I don't know about the resources, but there's communities have a lot of those inexpensive programs in the summer as well.
Some could even be free.
They can be free.
Or at a minimal cost.
At minimal cost. So, and it all depends on which sport that is. If you're in wrestling, you have the singlet, you have the shoes roughly, as opposed to being hockey. We had a son who was in hockey as well, so I relate to the ice time fees and the traveling cost as well. But you want to set your goals as well. So, we have a son, a 7-year-old right now, who is in karate, and this is one of the goals that he got, and he's got his purple belt, going for his blue belt right now. But we need to set these goals to be in line.
And be realistic, yeah.
Yeah, be realistic with that. So, and not just speak them out loud, but write them down, keep each other accountable. Maybe those goals are getting debt-free, having a certain amount of money in your retirement account, creating an emergency fund, things like that.
Mike, as always, great tips. Thank you so much for joining us. To review Mike's financial tips, go to KARE11.com after the show. There you'll find a link to his website for all those great tips. And this weekly reminder for information on a wide variety of aging-related topics, call the Minnesota Board on Aging's Senior Linkage Line. Experts will answer your questions weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That toll-free number is 1-800-333-2433. I might have added